Hello, folks. As you can see by the title, I have a question for you today. It's more of a thought experiment, really. What is harassment? Now, I want you to just stop for a moment and think that over. To you, what would be harassment? And then I want you to ask 5 or 10 of your friends, to them, what would be harassment? What you'll probably see is that there are similarities between all answers, but each one will have varying degrees of what they do and do not consider harassment. This is especially true online, where I find that the term is thrown around rather commonly, especially in cases where I don't think it fits. I'm not denying that harassment doesn't exist. It does. It really does. But I believe that the term is being overused, and that things that would be just trolling or things that are just critique is another example I've seen called harassment sometimes. These are not things that are actually harassment. These are just things of the internet, or critique, as it were. I initially was thinking this over a lot in my head because at one point I had seen a Twitter chain, and I know I'm using Twitter in a story about harassment. This can only bode well. A person who was not actually discussed in this Twitter chain, but was only mentioned once, and because of the way Twitter works, unless you intentionally remove someone's name, it stays in there. This person came into that Twitter chain and said, "Take my name out of this. This is harassment." I'm going to let you think that over for a moment. That's an extreme example. I think that definitely does not constitute harassment, just having your name in a Twitter chain. I think that that's probably the most extreme example I can find right now. I could probably find worse if I was actually looking, but that's just one that I saw in passing. So I'm sure that it's not common, but it's more common than I have noticed, because I haven't actually been looking for it. But what I've seen is that the term seems to be thrown around a lot at things that I don't think would be considered harassment. As I've said, I've seen harassment be thrown at critique. I'm not sure how that started. Even with negative critique or very jarring critique, it's still critique. Saying, "I don't like this, I think it is wrong," is not harassment. Even saying, "I think this is stupid," is not harassment. That's a person's opinion on something that they are watching, reading, experiencing, etc. And usually, I would like to believe that even in negative or jarring criticism, there is going to be some point of constructive criticism in there that says why a person thought it was stupid or why a person thought it was bad. I know on the internet that's not always the case, because people like to condense things immensely, but even then, that's not, I wouldn't think that would be harassment. If someone critiqued me, I'd be like, "Oh, okay, yeah." I might explain something. I wouldn't think it would be harassment. I've seen a good number of big internet figures, and real-life big figures as well, say that they are harassed just because they are famous, or just because they are women, or just because they exist. A lot of things like that. And I hate to sound mean like this. This isn't my intent. This just sounds worse until I actually explain it. I'm sorry, if you're a big figure, you're going to experience a lot of things that it's going to be a lot of voices all at once coming at you. There are some that are harassment. I'm not denying that, but I think that the bigger the internet figure you are, the more prone you are to get trolled. I don't think trolling is automatically harassment. I wish we didn't live in a society where the bigger you were, the bigger a target you had painted on you, but that is how the internet works. I use that term loosely. And trolls will always target the biggest figures that they think that they can get a reaction out of. Unfortunately, that is usually big internet figures. I mean, look at Total Biscuit, look at Boogie. Those guys get genuine harassment a good amount, but they also get a lot of trolling. And I think that they're able to see the difference because I'm not going to say they have thicker skin because they are human just as everyone else is. It doesn't matter how thick you are. Humans typically aren't conditioned to be able to handle millions of voices all chatting at them at once. I think it's that they've experienced it for so long that they understand the difference. And I'm really wanting people to just, like, and again, I apologize if this seems cold, that's not my intent. If you see someone say they're getting harassed, I'm not saying don't show empathy, I'm not saying don't show caring, do all of that. But then also, while you are helping your friend, while you are consoling someone that you care about, think to yourself, do I think that this would actually be harassment to me if this happened to me? If you say no, I want you, after a couple of days, after this person's calmed down, after this person has moved beyond this incident, I would like that there could be a discussion about, I understand what happened to you and I'm always here for you. I don't really think that was harassment. I think that may have been trolling. I think that may have been something bad. Whatever the case, again, I'm not saying don't show empathy, don't show caring. Still be a human being. Still care about your friends, your family, people that you like. But don't automatically take someone's word at what is harassment, because it's a term that is really starting to be overused. And there are some people, not all, actually not many either, this is kind of rare, but it is happening. They will throw out harassment, hope it sticks, because people generally don't think about it, and try to just get sympathy or attention just because they said they were harassed. This has existed for a long time before the internet. The internet just makes it a lot more visible. And that's just really my main point. I just want people to actually consider what they feel is harassment and to try not to throw that out at every single thing. That's why I am not defining harassment myself, because I admit my own definition is going to be different than anybody else's, because each person's is going to be different than another person's. There really needs to be a discussion about what it is, so that there can be sort of something of a general acceptance of what is and is not harassment. I don't see that happening anytime soon, unfortunately. I would like it if it did. That would solve a lot of problems on the internet. It's probably not going to, and I'm talking to a wall. But if this video can just have a couple people stop and say to themselves, you know, I had never really considered this. What is harassment to me? Then I feel that I have at least helped. And with a lot of things, it just takes one person taking that first step to try to do some change in the world. And I know I'm just a small guy, a small figure on YouTube, i.e. non-existent. But small guy, first step. Maybe in a few years we can actually have this discussion in a serious manner, and it will help a lot of things. I hope that we can. And if we ever do, I will be glad that I myself talked about this, and I can just look myself in the mirror and said, I was talking about this. I probably didn't lead to anything in this discussion, but I feel glad that I considered this myself as well. This has been Math Machine. Thank you for listening to me ramble about, honestly, something that is sometimes semantic, sometimes grammar Nazi-ish. Thank you for just bearing with me through this. Have a great day. Peace out.